Hi, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Kaylee, and this is
Shoot the Vows. And today we have Jon D. Gruenewald with the Jon D. Gruenewald Agency. John, can you do a little introduction?
Well, thank you both so much for having me today.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. So I've been affiliated with Allstate Insurance for the last 5 years. Before that, I was living in Boston for a number of years as an accountant. But I grew up here, born and raised in central New York. And, when I started having some children right after I got married, me and my wife were, we knew we wanted to come back here to our roots at some point. She's from Casanova. So,
I love that.
So the opportunity presented itself, and I started an Allstate insurance agency back in 2020.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit about what you guys do there.
So at our insurance agency, it's kind of a one-stop shop. We will help individuals and families with their personal lines insurance. So that might be auto insurance, home insurance, renters insurance. We also, if you have some business owners out there, then we're there to help out with any of their commercial business needs, whether it's general liability or for their business autos. And then, the thing I'm excited about today is some of the more specialty lines of insurance that we also write with. And that covers, whether it's jewelry insurance or event insurance. And I'm happy that you reached out and had the opportunity to talk about some of those things.
Yeah, I know that we actually interviewed a lawyer in New York City a couple months ago, and she mentioned event insurance. And she said, as a planner and as a lawyer, because she's worn both of those hats, that she highly recommends event insurance. And she always suggested that to all of her couples that she was planning with. So tell me a little bit about the benefits, what it covers, things like that, because I actually don't know too much about event insurance myself.
Well, it's not something you really hear about much either. So
Yeah, it's something that a lot of venues are acquiring more and more these days. The main items that it's going to cover, the main things it's going to cover is going to be damage to the venue itself. So that's why the venues a lot of times will encourage you to get it, because they want to protect, their venue and the items inside. But it also will help to cover, physical damage that might happen to any of the occupants. A quick example, it would be, someone gets a little bit carried away on the dance floor, and maybe trips and falls and has a hurt ankle, and, maybe it needs surgery, maybe it just needs a long recovery. Those types of things, the event insurance would step in just to make sure that, after you've planned a wedding and had that major expense, that you're not having something that's, coming back on you after the fact. You've already stretch yourself, to be able to have that very, very special day. You don't want to have anything, kind of following you after the fact. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, there was one wedding we did where the DJ actually fell and hurt his ankle that night.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I heard him.
Yeah. He ended up having to sit down to DJ the rest of the night because he was showing how someone had a Dougie or something on the dance floor, just trying to help him have a good time. And he said he turned and he heard a crack and he started limping the rest of the night. It was a lot.
He knew it was bad.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that she had mentioned when we were talking about the event insurance is obviously now it's not going to cover COVID because you know what I mean, but it can cover if you cancel your event or things like that, right? Is there what's the kind of what are the policies outlining as far as if there was a natural disaster or something like that?
Yeah, so in terms of, having to, reschedule for whatever reason, the event insurance would be able to step in and, maybe compensate the venue for, if there is a very, very late, cancellation that is required. In terms of the specifics for the timeline, I believe that it's still, you'd want to be able to give a heads up within a couple days anyway, but the event insurance can certainly help to step in that case, just to make sure that the venue isn't going to come after you if you're not able to follow through with the wedding for for whatever reason.
Yeah, she had said that there was one couple. She had told all these couples to get event insurance, and there was one that listened to her, and they had to cancel because of COVID. 2020 happened, and she said they got all of their money back for everything. They got everything was covered. But they don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, so it was definitely a very big relief for them at that time. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then there's also jewelry insurance too, for like rings and other jewelry. Talk about that a little bit for us.
Yeah. So a lot of times on either your renter's policy or your homeowner's policy, you can do what's called scheduling an item. And that's usually where you take a more valuable item, in your home. A lot of times it will be jewelry. And you'll have it included separately on the homeowner's policy. And a lot of times it'll have a different deductible than, all other, claims involving your renters or your home may have. But what we really like about Jewelers Mutual and what they provide is that they will have a separate policy set up for your jewelry itself. And a lot of times it has no deductible assigned to it whatsoever.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to cover, if an item is lost, stolen, or even if it's damaged. Now, your standard homeowner's policy, it would not cover any of your jewelry if it was damaged. So that's really the big kicker that makes the Jewelers Mutual policy so advantageous. Having the $0 deductible, it really adds some comfort that you're not going to have to pay anything out of pocket, to help, cover that item if it comes to it.
Yeah, I know one of my wedding bands actually right now that's missing a diamond, and having insurance would have been cool, but we didn't get it. So
yeah, and it happens, all too often. I know that my wife has the same thing. There's one missing on the band. Yep, on the band, and she certainly takes notice to it. I don't think I would really recognize it if I was looking at it, but that's all she thinks about.
Yeah, every once in a while it's nagging at me, and then I forget about it for another period of time. But yeah, we were also thinking about that, like when we were on our vacation, our honeymoon specifically.
Right. What happens if like you're in the ocean and like the ring falls off, or if like, something like that? This is going to be a great way to help balance that fret of not knowing what to do if something happens.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So it would add that comfort, especially while you're away, swimming out in the ocean,
Which, and I know a lot of people have those like vacation rings, the cheaper rings that are, still just as pretty, but they don't want their real ring to get, lost across seas. So that's a good peace of mind there.
Yeah, my husband, they wouldn't like my husband very much. There's been 3 times he's left it out of state.
Oh, really?
Joseph.
Yep, he left it in New Jersey, and luckily we were still there when they found it. And we had to go back. It was not an easy time to get it back. And then there was another time they had to mail it back from Maryland. And then there was another time, I don't even remember where he left it, but he left it somewhere. And I was like, great.
Joe.
Yeah.
So were these at hotels usually, or?
So one was an Airbnb. 2 of them were an Airbnb. Actually, I think all of them were an Airbnb.
all Airbnb.
Yep. And he always, you know what it is? He takes it off when he showers.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because he's afraid of it going down the drain. And I'm like, apparently there's more of a risk taking
just
it off.
leaving it.
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll have that. But they probably wouldn't like him very much because they would have, well, we've gotten it back every time, but,
If something were to actually happen to it each time somebody stole it, whatever.
Yeah. Fortunately, his ring wasn't as expensive as mine. So.
Yep. And I'm the same way. I ended up getting a pretty cheap ring off Etsy. So it's, thankfully I haven't lost it yet. I'm going to knock on wood.
Yeah. But you got to cover it, especially if you're like forgetful or clumsy or things like that.
Have you ever thought about writing a policy yourself?
No, I haven't. I might have to come see you.
Yeah. Come on over. It'd be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So when do couples usually see you for event insurance? When in the planning process?
So a lot of times it's, when they've started to meet with their wedding planners, they're, starting to map everything out. A lot of times, it varies from couple to couple, but, we'll see, sometimes is, early as, 9 months out from the wedding. Sometimes it'll be, a little bit closer, more of a, something that may occur to them, later on in the process. And, they'll want to have that discussion, maybe, a month out, a week out. But we can actually write event insurance. If you say you were getting married tomorrow, we would be able to write the event insurance today.
Oh, wow.
and we could have it in place. So it can be written very, very quickly. So if there's anyone who's getting married this weekend, it's not too late to give us a call.
Let John know.
It's not too late. Well, and it's probably more advantageous to get it earlier, just in case something does happen. Like we were talking about earlier, if there was an emergency reschedule or something like that, where they could get their money back. But does it cover anything where, like, so I know recently, and I won't say where or who, but there was a venue that just closed down. And remember, we were talking about this at
Homegirl lost everything.
Yeah, it was
Everything.
they basically didn't give anyone. They said they would get their money back the way that they paid, but she had paid in cash.
And they just posted on Facebook about it. They didn't email her. They didn't call her. They didn't text her.
Yeah.
They just sent out a post on Facebook, and they just were like, "Hey, did you hear?" Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
So, what would event insurance cover you at all as in that situation?
In that situation, I don't believe that the renters, or I don't believe that the event insurance would be able to step in.
Yeah, it would be more like
because
a
the whole
court
business is closing
Yeah,
down.
I think you would probably have to get attorneys involved at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Isn't that-
unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It was from a bride that we were talking to at one of the expos,
Yeah,
and she's looking for new everything now, and her wedding's less than 6 months away.
yeah.
I feel so terrible for her.
And they were also doing the DJ and the catering, so
Through
she
them.
needs to find
So,
a
like,
DJ and a caterer.
The photo,
and-
like all of it. She literally, everything was through them. Like they made it that way. And yeah. So she's starting from scratch 6 months away. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
I
I
feel
know.
so bad for her.
I
that's
know.
awful.
I
That's so
know.
bad.
And the fact that there wasn't any even heads up. Like there wasn't no common courtesy to let her know, nothing.
Yeah, she didn't get an email, a letter, nothing. They were like, "Oh, you didn't see the Facebook post?"
What?
Is that how I'm supposed to be alerted for this transaction? Oh man.
Yeah, yeah. So, I guess it's important to know then, like, what's covered and what's not, and
And I'm assuming policy like price base is based off of like everybody's different needs.
Yeah. So it would be everyone's different needs, especially, also taking into consideration the number of occupants, the number of people that are going to be attending at the wedding. There's also some, additional, we call them riders or add-ons to a policy. One of it is called host liquor protection. And that's a really, really nice add-on because, a lot of times if something is going to go, terribly wrong, at a wedding
there's
and
booze involved.
yeah, a lot of
90%
times
of the time.
exactly. A lot of times there is booze involved.
Yeah,
So that's where that add-on is really, really going to step in and make a big difference to cover anything, alcohol related. So I would strongly encourage that. It's usually not going to be any type of major upcharge,
yeah,
but it is, a really, really essential addition to have.
Lets you guys know what's kind of happening throughout the day, so y'all are prepared and covered.
that makes sense. I have, obviously, as a photographer and a vendor, I have insurance. And so a lot of times vendors will ask me for insurance, and then I'll have to insure them. I have to like call, and then it's like a whole thing. It's not that big of a deal, and they're usually really quick about it. But sometimes brides, just letting you know, it's nice to know more than a day or two in advance that your venue needs it. So, but usually my insurance agency is really good about like getting things back to me quickly. But so make sure your vendors are insured. I always say, I think it's not really professional to be, as a photographer, like other photographers should be insured if they're working at your wedding. And then probably having event insurance on top of that to cover yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would definitely encourage to, when you are looking at your wedding venue contract to see if, the venue might already have something in place for you. Certainly, it's very, very important to have that event insurance. But you obviously don't want to pay for double coverage if the venue already has it included within their pricing. So I would say, certainly it's good to check those contracts, and also, just check with your wedding planner as well if you're using one, just to, see if they have some familiarity with the particular venue that you're using, and and they can tell you some stories of what they've experienced and what's worked for, some of the other couples that they've worked with.
Yeah.
You would think that it would kind of be, since it's coming more common, that venues are asking for the insurance, that they would supply it, or, you know, have it kind of, these are who we recommend to go to, or, you know, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, it's coverage. Like I said, it's not very hard, you know, to write, and you can write it very, very quickly, even if it's, you know, if it's close to more of like a last minute thing. So you would think that the venues would, you know,
Cover that part, since you're already doing so much on that day.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have so much to think about already. It's nice just, you know, just to have, you know, you're steered in the right direction of just, hey, this is, you know, one last thing, you know, probably good just to, you know, get it taken care of. You know, maybe it's a 10, 15-minute conversation, and, you know, then it's done.
Hear
and set
that,
up for you.
venues? Step up, venues.
I'm taking notes for when I open my venue. That makes sense. Is there anything that, like, event insurance that the couple would get covers that venue insurance wouldn't cover?
Sorry, can you say the question again?
Yeah,
So-
say that again.
Yeah, so like if the couple got their own event insurance separately, is there anything that would cover that if they just, like, the venue had insurance and they already were like using that? Is there any difference in coverage? Like,
So the biggest difference would be, you know, it would be more on, I don't know, probably more on like the serious injury front. If, you know, say someone, back to like the broken ankle, or, you know, but also if, you know, someone, you know, may have been, you know, overserved, you know, at the wedding, and, you know, someone goes and gets into an accident, someone's, you know, seriously injured, you know, there become a gray line of, oh, is it the venue, or is it, you know, the couple? You know, a lot of times, you know, the couple themselves will, you know, may provide a lot of the, you know, alcohol to the venue, and then the venue is, you know, serving it. So, you know, there can be a gray area of where, you know, the couple would be exposed versus the venue itself. So I would say, you know, if the couple's able to, you know, they really should set it up on their own, just to make sure that they're personally protected. If the venue is covering it, you know, the venue's going to be covering all of the damage to the venue on site. And then, you know, they really would be covering anyone that is, you know, physically injured on the premises. It's where the couple's coverage can really step in, is when people have left the venue, but, you know, maybe they, you know, had, you know, a little bit too much to drink while they were at the venue.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I think that pretty much wraps up our questions. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
So, you know, the main thing I would add is just, you know, we're talking about event insurance for weddings, but, you know, you can do it for any, you know, special event. You know, it could be a bridal shower, baby shower, birthday party, you know, so it's, you know, it's good for, you know,
Anything you're spending big money on,
yes, yeah, exactly. Where you're going to have, you know, a good number of,
and people gathered.
yeah, of
and-
people gathering, you know, it's just really good coverage to have in place for any of those events.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
We do that a lot.
We do.
Well, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I absolutely love the space, and I hear there might be a move sometime
It'll
soon.
be changing very soon.
Excited.
Very soon. Yeah. We haven't announced it yet, but this episode
Oh.
isn't coming out until we will announce it. So it's fine. You'll find out.
One of the last episodes that we'll probably be doing here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's bittersweet.
I
It
feel
is.
honored for being here. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thank you
Well,
so much
thanks
for
for
coming.
teaching us all the amazing things about insurance that we definitely didn't know about. Event insurance, that is
Yeah. We didn't know. We
good
needed to
information.
know about
Yeah,
it.
we needed to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then really the last thing I would say is just, you know, when you're getting married, you know, it's such an important time in your life. It's really good to have those financial conversations as well with your partner, and just make sure that, you know, when you are starting to combine your coverages, there's a ton of savings. It's some of the largest discounts that insurance companies will offer. So as you're combining coverages, you know, it's great to have a discussion, you know, just to make sure that you are properly covered in terms of your overall amount of insurance.
That makes sense. Yeah. We had to figure that out when we got married, because I didn't know I legally had to list my husband as, like, on my policy as for my cars. and my insurance went up quite a bit because somebody's been in a couple accidents.
Oh, yeah.
It's gone down since then, but
Freaking Joe.
yeah, he's well, none of the accidents were his fault, but they were like situations where like his insurance still went up.
Yep.
It's just one of those unavoidable things. But yeah, definitely combining finances and insurances is all, and you do the financial aspect of it, right? A little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So we do the financial components as well. With any of our customers, we really like to do, an overall insurance review. Just make sure that, if there's ever a significant incident that happens, that you have the proper coverage in place, so that an attorney is never coming after any of your financial assets. And a lot of retirement policies are all going to be protected. So when we're doing our insurance discussions, we like to understand where your retirement funds stand, and then, everything outside of retirement. And, and that's really where we like to, have the discussion and figure out exactly what coverage is appropriate.
Makes sense. Well, thank you so much. And as always, guys, if you have any comments, questions, or topic requests, be sure to drop them down below in the comment section.
We'd love to feature it in the next video. Be sure to subscribe. Bye.